We are back in 1985, continuing our look at the Transformers toy line by Hasbro. Last time we visited Series 2, we checked out the peace-loving Autobot geologist, Beachcomber. This time, we're going back over to the Decepticons to take a look at a historic first for the Transformers. Up till this point, all the Transformers released only had two modes, their robot mode and their disguise mode. But what if multiple Transformers could join together to form a much bigger, more dangerous robot? From this idea, the first combiner team was born, the evil Constructicons and their combined form, Devastator. And today, we'll be taking a look at Constructicon number 1, Bonecrusher, and Constructicon number 2, Scavenger, here on part 1 of the KREED'S Collection Christmas Special. Hey, Merry Christmas, and welcome to part 1 of the 3rd annual KREED'S Collection Christmas Special. Today we're checking out Bonecrusher and Scavenger of the evil Constructicons, a subgroup of the Decepticons. We aren't going to waste any time either, so let's jump right in with Bonecrusher. Bonecrusher finds beauty in rubble-strewn wastelands and longs to turn any location into one. His vehicle mode of a bulldozer makes it easy to accomplish this goal, and he loves showing off his destructive talents to his fellow Decepticons. Megatron values the fear and destruction Bonecrusher creates, but wishes he would refrain from destroying the buildings Decepticons actually need. Bonecrusher combines with his fellow Decepticons to form the left arm of Devastator. And now that we know a bit more about Bonecrusher, let's take a closer look. In my opinion, Bonecrusher's vehicle mode is very clean. His treads are molded so they don't move, but they still look great. Also, the front shovel can be moved up and down, just like a real bulldozer, and I think that's a nice level of detail. One of my favorite things about this vehicle mode is that you don't see any of the robot parts hanging out, and it's even got a spot for a driver right there. The decals on Bonecrusher still look really clean, like right here on the side, and also the Decepticon symbol right here on the top. Doesn't even have a scuff. Bonecrusher's rub sticker is right there on the shovel, and down here on the bottom you can see this is the port that actually plugs him in when he becomes Devastator's left arm. We'll look at that a little more a bit later. My only real complaint when he's in vehicle mode is that here you can see you got to kind of make sure it's really lined up or it doesn't look right. But other than that, Bonecrusher is awesome. Now we're going to look at Bonecrusher's accessories. This is the arm piece that attaches when you turn him into Devastator's left arm. As you can see, it is the left fist, and it is detachable. You just push down the green button here and it releases. Now it doesn't fire, I guess because it's too heavy, but you can put in this included piece that looks like a drill. Now these are actually concussion bombs according to the file card, and they fire out really well, and they look super cool. You can also attach it to Bonecrusher while he's in vehicle mode via these two peg holes. All you have to do is pop it right on top, just like this, and there you go. Now Bonecrusher is a tank. I really appreciate the fact that Devastator's arms transform into weapons. It's pretty cool. I really wish you could also peg in his laser pistol, but unfortunately you cannot. And oddly, he's one of the only Constructicons not to have this feature. To transform Bonecrusher into the left arm of Devastator, you put the fist back in, and then this peg right here, you just peg it in there, and that is all you have to do. As I said earlier, you just plug him in via that port right there, and he is the left arm of Devastator. Now we're going to go ahead and transform Bonecrusher into his robot mode. First thing you want to do is open up the top here. That's going to form his arms. Then you want to take the scoop and lift it up. Now you got to flip down the treads, which will form his legs. After you do that, you want to pull the bottom part of the tread here and then flip it forward. That will make his feet. Now, after you do that, you want to take the roof and flip it back. Then you want to flip his head up right here. Take his arms and turn them and then bend them down where they face towards the ground there. And then flip the scoop up to form his chest. And there you go. You have fully transformed Bonecrusher into robot mode. Bonecrusher is far and away my favorite of the Constructicons. I think he has one of the best robot modes, and his vehicle mode is excellent. And that's a rarity in Transformers. They generally just have one or the other, but Bonecrusher has both. And while his name is intimidating, Bonecrusher, how do robots from a planet with no organic life know what bones are? Well, anyway, back to this robot mode, which is fantastic. Here's a better look at Bonecrusher's face and upper body. I've always appreciated the fact that the scoop became his chest plate. That's pretty sweet. And these armor plates that stick off the back of his forearms give him a really cool silhouette. He has peg hole hands for holding his gun and good articulation in the arms, which we'll get back to in a minute. As you get a look at his legs here, you can see the treads become his legs, and his feet are nice and chunky, which is good for making him stand up easily. It also occurred to me that whether he's in robot or vehicle mode, his treads are still how he gets around. Now we're going to check out Bonecrusher's articulation. His hips can actually fold back. It's part of his transformation, but it kind of makes it look like he's flexing his back in a way. So I guess that's one point. And his toes can fold down too as part of his transformation. So there's two more. Now he's really jumping, see? And his arms have a shoulder joint right here that can go up, and it can pivot around as well. And a little bit of up and down flex, which is nice. He also has a 90-degree bend at his elbow. And that allows him to shake his fist menacingly. Roar. Anyway, he can also look down and up due to his transformation, and that's it. That covers all the points of articulation for Bonecrusher. In robot mode, Bonecrusher carries this laser pistol. It's got a pretty cool scope on top here. Not a bad sculpt either, and it pretty much looks exactly the same on both sides. It also easily pegs into Bonecrusher's hand, just like this. Here's Bonecrusher's tech spec. If you'd like to read it, pause now. Between Bonecrusher's shoulder blades, you can see his copyright information, Hasbro, Takara, made in Japan, 1980 through 1984. Alright, now we're moving on to Scavenger. Scavenger desperately wants to be liked and needed, but his low self-esteem combined with his simpering, doting eagerness to please just reinforces the other Decepticons' opinion of him as a worthless loser. He is constantly excavating everywhere, trying to find anything of value, but invariably it's just scrap or junk. Megatron would have dumped him long ago if not for his shovel's ability to detect needed materials. Scavenger's vehicle mode is an excavator, and when he's combined to form Devastator, he becomes the right arm. And now that we know a bit more about Scavenger, let's take a closer look. So, like Bonecrusher, Scavenger has molded treads, but they still look super good. Now on top of that, underneath the cab, it has a pivot point, just like a real excavator. And the shovel arm has 2 points of articulation, so it also behaves exactly like the shovel arm of an excavator. I mean, these are basically functioning construction toys. The decals have also held up pretty well. That Decepticon symbol looks really sharp still. And down here on the bottom, you can see what will be the chest of the robot, but also the piece that folds out to attach him when he becomes Devastator's arm. All in all, another extremely clean vehicle mode. Scavenger includes the right arm of Devastator, which also pegs into him to become a concussion bomb launcher. You swap out the included concussion bomb, and then you peg it into the top of Scavenger. The only problem is the arm here gets in the way, so you have to kind of put it down, and that allows you to peg it in without hitting the arm. The only problem is once the launcher is in place, the arm cannot move up at all, so you just have to fold the shovel down like so. But Scavenger's not done fully arming up because he has a peg hole right here for his robot laser gun. You can peg it into the roof, and now he is ready to go into battle, fully armored. I wish they would have thought to include that feature on Bonecrusher. It's pretty awesome. Now we're going to transform Scavenger into the right arm of Devastator. You move the shovel out of the way, and this peg right here is where you attach the arm. You just stick it on, just like that. To attach him to Devastator's body, you fold down the treads and flip out that tab, and that's how you actually attach it. And there you go, Devastator right arm. Now we're going to transform Scavenger into his robot mode. First thing you want to do is grab the treads and flip them down. Once you do that, go ahead and turn him to face you and turn his feet to face forward. Now after you get his feet done, you want to reach up here and grab his head and flip it all the way up. Now right here at the shoulders, there are tabs you have to put your fingernail under and pull out, and that exposes his arms. And that's it. That is a fully transformed Scavenger. I have to say, I find it pretty interesting that Scavenger is the Constructicon with low self-esteem, because he was probably one of my least favorite ones. He might even be my least favorite, but he still ranks really high in the hierarchy of Transformers to me. It's just he's my least favorite Constructicon. I mean, it had to be somebody, right? I actually like his transformation, but I think maybe it's his upper body. It's really boxy, and the way his shoulders and his neck are, or lack of neck. I don't know, there's just something about it that's kind of weird. Although in Scavenger's defense, Bonecrusher also has a very boxy upper body, so I'm going to let it go. This area here is actually die-cast metal, so that looks pretty sweet. It's just this area I wish that they would have cut away a little bit. I think it would look nicer. Scavenger has the same peg hole hands as Bonecrusher, and he's got the same tread legs too. His feet, however, can be turned out a little bit, and it also gives him added stability. Scavenger's rope sticker is right there on his back, as well as the shovel that folds up and out of the way. Now we're going to take a look at Scavenger's articulation. He can bend forward right here at the hips thanks to his transformation, and then here at his shoulder he can pivot up as well as down, and technically all the way around full 360 if you wanted him to. He can also look down and up thanks to his transformation, and then here on his back, don't forget the shovel has 2 points as well. And that covers all the articulation for Scavenger. Scavenger's included gun is kind of flat black, but it does have some details worked into it. It is the same on both sides, and it gets the job done even though it's nothing fancy. It easily pegs into his hand just like this, and as we established earlier, it also pegs into his vehicle mode. And by the way, Bonecrusher's gun also pegs into Scavenger's roof. Here's a look at Scavenger's tech spec. If you'd like to read it, pause now. Scavenger's copyright information is located inside his treads. Hasbro, 1980, 1984, and Takara of Japan, 1980, 1984. Before we move on, I wanted to share some pics of Bonecrusher and Scavenger helping me clean up after Hurricane Sally. And now for our He-Man size comparison. Bonecrusher and Scavenger are kind of small compared to He-Man, but I have a feeling they're going to have the last laugh when they form Devastator. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my toy retrospective for Bonecrusher and Scavenger from the 1985 toy line Transformers by Hasbro. This was part 1 of 4 of the KREED'S Collection Christmas Special. Next week on Wednesday, we'll be back with part 2, looking at Constructicon number 3 Scrapper and number 4 Hook. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that like button. And if you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. I love reading and responding to them. And while you're at it, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it, and it would help my channel grow. I do a retrospective on a toy from my vintage collection every Wednesday. So I hope to see you next week and every week after, here on KREED'S Collection.